did miss me. I've been missing in action, but I'm back. Yeah, so I'm here just to catch up. Yeah, it's been a hot minute. Yeah, so what have I been up to? Up to a lot, and lately I was working on a project. Yeah, which is yet to materialize. But in the meantime, so I'm still on duty, so there are those ups and downs. I've been running a business, Jirut Sanonoka dishes, so making fries. That's what has actually made me to be so busy and a bit preoccupied. You know, for a business to be stable, it needs at least 6 months of my maximum attention. Yeah, so that is basically it. Um yeah, so this week I've been on duty and it has been a wonderful week. So in the process, you know, as we were closing last term, our director had encouraged us to um, do individualized attention, especially to areas where we feel particular students are weak, and we help them here. So this was a strategy which I've tried to implement this term, especially now that it's a very short time and we had some time before serious learning starts. And so I had this student who came and we are doing the set books. So far we have done Bembea My Share, we are headed somewhere. Um, Also English, and I'm so wowed. I'm really happy about the English part. So we were doing the Fathers of Nation by someone Vita. So it's a book that I've been hearing the title. I don't know why I've taken so long to read. Perhaps it's because at some point there's that reader's block. You read so much until you're like, I can't do this anymore. But anyway, in my profession, being a linguist, I have to make a habit of reading. So it has helped to open my world view. And as I was reading that book, I haven't finished, but I hope I will be able to give a total review of what is in there. But I saw it was basically talking about our African problems and how we can solve it. So far, I've seen characters like Melusi, I've seen Professor Kimani, I've seen the daughter who is Tuni. I saw Dr. Biola. There was the how do we call her? The reporter, that was Fiona Mackenzie. Um, yeah, and also the delegates who were to attend the 49 head of states together with their delegates, and where they were to be hosted. You know, there's also the setting at Seamount Hotel. There's also another hotel known as Pinnacle Hotel. So uh, up to where I've discussed with that particular student, I was able to see a lot of things which affect us. Yeah, so one, I saw poverty, like people literally live on in the slums. That also brings another theme, that is infrastructural underdevelopment, where people living in slums yet they are paying taxes. There was also brutality, which comes in by the fact that when these heads of state are to be hosted somewhere, you find that the slums have to be leveled down just to give an impression that, you know, life is smooth. There was once streets there, but that's not the reality. To the extent of doing water rationing, that is hypocrisy, as another theme that was there. So let me put on my specs. Hi, ho ho ho. Welcome to my live. Why have you retracted the message? So there was that theme. There was also another theme that I saw there in the Fathers of Nation. For example, the theme of poor leadership. I'm from Kenya, yeah, in Africa. So there was the theme of poor leadership, and we get to see how leaders don't do what they're supposed to do. They're actually confused. There was also the theme of coups, where Professor Kimani, thank you, nice. Where are you from? And how do we pronounce your name? Yeah. Is it asking? I don't know. Yeah. So there was that theme of cool. So cool is when people, oh, Turkey. I've been wanting to go to Turkey and learn. Actually, when I was in first year, I wanted to learn about the language, the Turkey or Turkey. Yeah. I love the food, especially the way they do the frittatas. Yeah, looking forward to travel there someday. So, talking about the fathers of nation and what I saw there as the theme. So there was the theme of coup, as I was saying. Coup is spelled as COUP. So Professor Kimani says that they did a coup whereby it's now not only about people or the army trying to overthrow the government. You find even we have legalized coups, which are there. There was also the theme of injustice, how things are not really followed up, as well as how there is the rule of law is not prevailing. People are using the law actually to break the law. There was also the theme of recreation and leisure, whereby these leaders, the 49 state of heads, want to go to the Gambia summit, and while they are there, it is expected that they are somehow trying to find some relief from the opposition back at home, the pressure, like what happens even in my country. You'll find that leaders will want to have some break, Yeah, so actually we people ended up even labeling the president as the king of the air because he was ever flying. And we find there's also the theme of education that is promoted by different people who are learned, like Dr. Biola. We have Dr. Professor Kimani. We also have the theme of luck, where Professor Kimani, um, while he was studying at the University of Oxford, he saw a vacancy at the University of Nairobi, the UON, after the University of East Africa had been split. So he was lucky to find some job, and he was not only a lecturer but had to be upgraded to the senior lecturer. So some point we find this neocolonialism to the extent that people are using donors to get what they want. At the same time, people tend to see people who have studied abroad are better than homebred um, materials, if that makes sense to you. Yeah, so we have those themes that work there. There is also the theme of love, how Professor Kimani got to love this little girl known as Asia Omondi, and they were blessed with a child who was born in Tunisia while she was on leisure, and Professor Kimani was doing some research. So there's that theme of love and how it leads to marriage. Yeah, we also get to see disillusion. So disillusion is when you are trying to debunk some of the beliefs that people believe in. For example, Professor Kimani, by virtue of being a professor, they tend to argue more on things that are reality and appearance, philosophical arguments, and that's why he loves to engage with his daughter Tuni, and they're discussing about how after Tuni had attended the seminar on security, is like that was a brave thing, but the dad is like, why do we have to privatize security, yet it's the role of the government? And the wife Asia is like, what do we do if the government is not doing that? But he is insisting that we actually need to leave the government to do its business. And I felt it's true. Like in my own country, sometimes it's the role of the government to ensure we have good roads. Why is it then that you find that maybe a road leading to your place is not built? Yeah, and you have to take an initiative even to make the rivers, as much as there's that community responsibility. It leaves the government with zero accountability because someone else is taking care of their business, and we are left to ask, where do taxes go? And that brought another theme, that was the theme of economic wastage and inflation, how it happens. So Professor Kimani says that by the time he was becoming a lecturer, by then a professor used to earn better than a mere member of parliament, but now we are finding that the member of parliament is earning way more, than that, and they still uh, put laws that are meant to protect them, to the extent they're not taxed. Yeah, they have sitting allowances, as we know, like in my country, Kenya. They have sitting allowances, they have a car grant, they have security, all this on the taxpayer's bill. Yeah, so literally it doesn't make sense. Get someone who is trained, like for us, especially as educators, I believe we need to be the best remunerated individuals, and this needs to reach even to the salaries and the remuneration council. Seriously, the argument they give is that the MPs are around 470, so they are fewer than maybe teachers or educators who are millions. Yeah, so they're like, if you increase for these MPs, they are fewer, they can feel the impact. And unlike when you're trying to distribute the same amount that you want to increase across many people, so it will appear as cents or peanuts. And that's what is actually happening. And this brings another problem, like there's a system breakdown, and we have to do something literally about it. Mm. Because why do we have to strike, for example, as teachers, to get what is duly ours? Why do we have health covers which are, what can we call them, a disgrace? They're actually embarrassing. You go to the hospital and you can't access the services, yet you have been a compliant payer. Yeah, so that's why we can say that literature is the mirror of the society. It reflects on the issues that we are facing as a nation, and we have to take um, responsibility. And another thing that we saw was revolution, and this is brought about by Kimani, Professor Kimani, who even actually goes ahead to describe and have a force, where he was talking about education for relevancy and not just for the sake. We live in a world where by people are just doing things for the sake. Maybe you're going for a master's degree, you want to advance just to postpone maybe an employment. These papers are not helping anyone. People want you to, there's also this notion, publish or perish. What are we publishing if it's not bringing an impact? We rather have few copies which are making an impact. And that's why after he did those revolution, there came about even the change in motorway, which was about education for relevance. Yeah, so there's also the theme of change and transition, how things have uh, changed over time, and we know change is inevitable, it's mandatory in any institution, even on personal levels. So we need to take care of those things. Another theme that was prevalent there was about the theme of ignorance, and this is evidenced by people who could doubt Professor Kimani's thoughts on the whole idea, that he's too radical, and this even brings their look or perspective about life. They tend to be negative. They're like, this seems so simple, but in the end, really, what matters is those little things, how we get to join the dots. Yeah, there's also another theme of arrogance, and this is shown by the unknown caller who goes by the name Guide. Yeah, and he doesn't want to identify himself, so that brings also another theme of mystery. Yeah, people don't want to know, to be identified, and that brought in yet another theme, which was the theme of insecurity. Like now the Professor Kimani is like, how can I trust you, yeah, if you can't tell my name? you want us to work on something, you're saying it's at an advanced level, but you don't want me to be able to know you're doing some stalking. I was okay, like for the pastor, he was at the bar taking something, the Pepsi, and the guide was aware of that, yet the pastor himself wasn't aware. So there's also that theme brings about insecurity, you know. Yeah, and this is also further supported by the fact that the 49 head of states have to be brought together under the Pinnacle Hotel instead of being distributed everywhere, and this helps to manage, containing the problem. Like, literally, this is how most people even handle their problems, even when it comes to debts. Someone is like, instead of having to pay Peter to pay so and so, so you just combine all your debts together and maybe take to a circle or bank to finance it. Yeah, so that's how people reason. So this is what brought yet another theme about how this misuse of power and government instruments, especially the army and the police. The main role of the police is to maintain order and peace, peace and order. So why is it then they are tasked with the role of going to hear what the people are saying on the ground, just to hear rumors, just a grapevine? So that is misuse. Why do we have the army, which is meant to protect the borders, having to do combat with the real citizens who are paying the tax to pay them? Hmm? Even you, as you're going there to fight and you're an army officer and you keep telling us it's rules from above, like what we saw yesterday on the media about Senator Oroba being prevented from accessing our own workplace. It raises questions on about how are we true to ourselves. We lack integrity, and I don't know why. And it's because maybe we are selfish to some point. We are so self-centered. We're like, bora si mimi, it doesn't affect me, I can just go ahead. And that's not right. It's not okay. So perhaps we need to up our game on how we deal with our issues, honestly. Yeah. um yeah. Is there anything else I can remember until the point I did? There was also arrogance, and this was brought about by Dr. Abiola and how he responds to Fiona. Fiona at first looks like courteous, but we realize it's not courtesy. She lacks manners. She lacks etiquette. So you have requested for an interview. The next minute you're like, as you were asking, I want to leave. You are even receiving a call when someone's attention was with you, and to the extent like, no, you want an interview with me? No, absolutely not. Yeah, there's also the theme of technology that was evident, especially modern technology. There was the use of uh, phones, which are ringing everywhere, and people are able to know. Even the use of the modern suitcase. You're from Russia with love. Welcome, Roman. Yeah, it's a pleasure to hear from you. I'm just discussing a book known as Fathers of Nation. It's a set book here in Kenya for secondary students. So I'm just discussing it on a general aspect of how I saw it is relevant to the society we are living today, not necessarily seeing it from an academic angle. So enjoy with me. Yeah. So yeah. So that is what is happening in our country, and we need to write more books. Let's tell more stories, because we realize people have been colonized and we need to debunk some of the things that we're doing. Yeah, we need to up our game. Oh, I was talking also about another theme, that was the use of media, and its role in propagating uh, political, can we call it political agendas. Like the Gambian news had um some controversies about the man who was caught with some papers, and they seemed controversial, and the people who are responsible for that are not taken action to. Then he goes missing, and that brings about the theme of abduction. And this is very unfortunate. Like, it's happening really even in my country, especially between last year, that was 2024, and this year. There's been a huge number of people who are going missing. Actually, some are either found dead or tortured when they come back. Some are traumatized to the extent that they have not been able to bring about their stories. They have not recovered to the extent they are able to share those traumatizing experiences. So we wish them good luck in their life, especially the activists, and that's very unfortunate. However, no, someone might be like, I'm pessimistic about my country. No, I'm a patriot and I love my country. And that's what I saw even on the forward of that book, The Fathers of Nation. There are good things, we want to even say about our country, in as much as we have to protect it. I also have the duty as a responsible citizen of the world to share my honest views and to give a balanced world view on how things are on the ground. So we have beautiful things, actually, even in Africa, in Kenya particularly. We have wildlife, we have sandy beaches, we are enjoying a good climate. Like, yeah, it's not that winterish as much as we have been having cold months since June. It's still bearable, you understand. We have good soils, we are able to do agriculture. So as much as we have our problems, there are things still we can look back and we're like, east or west home is best, and we love it. We love it here. Yeah, it's fresh to be back. Yeah. Um, we also had the theme of conflict, and every book must have conflict, because for you to have a plot of any literature work, there must have been a problem that you're trying to solve by writing that. Yeah, una dhamira fulani ambayo unataka kupasha. So that's why you're likely to find that we have so many conflicts. It could be personal conflict, it could be academic conflicts. That's why, for example, we have the path alpha, we also have the omega as two documents that were competing, and the 49 head of states wanted to come to an agreement on which one to adopt. I don't know why they can't look at, they compare both, then maybe combine the two, they merge, so that we have a balance, then or a neutral ground. They're like, it's either this or that. And that's even happens in politics, like in Kenya. It's either BBI, after BBI we drop that. And you see, there's a lot of economic wastage at the end of the day, even when it comes to payment of the MPs and all those things. Anyway, maybe if we were in that situation, we would have done exactly that. But still, we need to have checks and balances. Yeah, so that's why we are here to discuss on the way forward. So back to conflict. I've said we have personal conflicts, we have intellectual conflict, we can have religious conflicts, whereby even people kill and it's okay for them. They could have contradicting issues on different things, for example, on the day of worship. Yeah, and it's life, because I believe these differences is what makes us unique. If everything was just one way in which people think, there will be no spice in life. So it's good for us to have varied opinion, and people are entitled to their opinion. That's okay. Yeah, and it needs to be respected. Yeah. So those are some of the things that we were seeing there. There was also the aspect about greed, on how people want to amass wealth for themselves, especially the members of parliament. These are leaders who are supposed to do something for the rest, or to serve their nation generally. But you find the main aim of them going to those parliament is not to make rules that will favor or help in development. It's about protecting their wealth and how to loot wealth more. And that brings even the aspect of corruption, how people now are forced to be corrupt, to take bribes and such kind of things. You find there's nepotism, how people want now, because they're like, I want this for myself and the people around me. Yeah. Yeah. So this aspect, especially about greed, is what is now triggering the way even Gen Zs have to go on the streets. Yeah, even how, like, when I've been discussing even with my students, they will tell you, um, there's no point, even sometimes, like things like education have been really watered down, because people will like, why would I even do, for example, the prestigious traditional courses, engineering, medicine, blah blah blah, law, if I am not assured of a job, or if I get that job, I'll not be as rich as so and so, who is maybe just has a diploma or something, and because they went to the political way, they just had a leeway to do corrupt and orthodox things, topped up with how the imbalance is in terms of remuneration. You find this person is growing quickly, so we have that system breakdown, and that's why people are like, I want to be this. So it becomes now a matter of life and death, even if it means rigging the system to get that. And this presents itself even as Fiona was asking about that book, and he tells Dr. Biola perhaps he was pessimistic in how he was painting the whole picture. What was his thoughts about generally people improving, and Dr. Bila was so generous to tell her about the expectations that they had, about how he expects the change to happen, even when she asks him about does she think the people will agree to some of the things which will not. For example, where we have these big dreams, maybe elections which are free from rigging, we have all these things. So not everyone actually will say yes, because it was the very backbone that put them in those positions. So there's that reality and conflict, and that leaves us in suspense because we want to know more. Will which document will finally be implemented, and does it work or not? So until that point, that's what had generally picked from that book. There were very many stylistic devices. There were similes, there was imagery, vivid description, like especially on the way the four individuals were to live within the hotel where they were. There was very vivid description, to the extent, who was on the north, south, east, and west of that Seamount Hotel. There's dialogue, yeah, there's use of letters and all kind of things. We have dialogue, monologue, and all those things, and it helps to enrich our perspectives and just to improve the general literature understanding of different things, because truth be said, not everything is literal. Some things are figurative. You have to use figurative language, yeah, first to spice up the work, as well as to censure some of the information that might land in the wrong hands. Yeah, so those are some of the things I was able to identify. So I look forward to hearing what are your thoughts about the book. I'll bring another video to explain more things, themes as well as stylistic devices, and the general plot of the book, the storyline. Yeah, so you can also drop suggestions on the book you want us to discuss. I'll be really willing to help. So aside from the book, so as we were discussing, there are very many thoughts that came, even questions that my student was asking me, like how do you build emotional intelligence? You can check on my other videos. I did share on that. How do you get to develop emotional intelligence? There was also the aspect on how do you revise. So as a teacher, one of my duties is to assess, and for me to be able to assess someone, for the student, it means they're going to take tests, exams, and practicals and all those things. So they want to know how to revise, especially given the short period that is remaining before their national exam. Though others, like the Form 2, Form 3s, and the rest, have these internal exams, still the same tactics apply. For example, how you read, you need to have a timetable, how you need to know your peak times, what are your favorite subjects. You need to have a goal. You just don't read aimlessly. Do you do question and answer? Do you do maybe individualized consultations? All these things depend on individuals. Everyone has a certain thing that will help them. Some actually benefit from group discussions. I'm such an individual. When I discuss, I tend to retain more than I lose, especially if I'm the one talking and I get to hear other people's views, so it opens my worldview. Some will use the question and answer method, and it will absolutely work for them. Yeah, because they'll realize the areas where they're weak and all those things. So as teachers, we can share more this. I'm going to maybe do a video on how to revise, what has helped me as an individual. Like for me, I could relax when I was at the university, then doing constant reading, so that I have less pressure, like by the time I'm going to do the exams. Even when I was going for the driving classes, I had to do daily repetition. Just even having a goal of at least learning two new things every day. So by the end of the course, you'll find that I have gathered a lot. Sometimes the time is so limited and you have no option but to maybe come up with mnemonics. Sasa ticha, poa Alex Muita, uko aje? Karibu. So umekuja naelekea hata kumaliza live, but it's okay. Yeah, so I was talking about how now we get to improve our grades in terms of preparation. But generally, the truth remains, prior preparation prevents poor performance. Another student asked me whether if I can give them my honest opinion on what they can score. You see, without having being of ambitious or something. I was like, usinidanganye, don't beat around the bush. And I had to remain adamant that things happen. There's that room for improvement, one. Number two, people are different. There's also the room of luck. You never know, the exam could be cheap than what a person has been doing. There's also the possibility they're going to supersede nilikuwa nasikiliza, oh karibu, they're also going, okay, I've lost the track. So I was saying some could be so lucky, and the system that we use in schools tend to be higher than for the national exam. So there's a possibility someone is going to succeed more. Like whatever they've been posting, maybe it was a C, probably they will come with a higher grade. I also had to give him a story like, your past doesn't define your present or your future. Like my sister, she's one of the people who inspires me. There was one point she was scoring very poorly in math. Then she had to put in the work. Yeah, she did, if it's coming up with the notebooks, nini, micro notes, and she scored an A in that math. But what I will encourage my students and all students across the country or worldwide, if this applies, try to balance. There's no point maybe of getting one subject an A, the rest an E, or you find yourself you are revising for the best subjects that you are in to the extent, and you are not matching with the combinations that can help you even maybe secure the good course that you want. So people should learn to have a balance in both subjects. Yeah, that's another thing that needs to be taken seriously. um, hmm, Another thing, yeah, in your booster subjects, ensure you do your level best so that it can boost where you're weak. You will have a better aggregate point, and that will be so useful, especially in the placement. You know, truth be told, the system is one that is sifting, ya kuchuja tu. So you have to take your best foot forward to ensure that that system works for you. Hack the system or else it will put you out, especially math. Math has a lot of courses, so the moment you start failing in math, already you're starting to sift yourself from courses, especially the ones that you would love. So all subjects are equal and they're important, but try to balance, dear students. Yeah. Another thing is about guidance and counseling. So you realize as teachers we have the task of parenting these students, and it goes beyond teaching. Sometimes they'll come with different issues like pressure, stress. Some will actually leave even exams without finishing them, and they're like, oh no, so what was happening through you? But we need to cultivate a good rapport with them so that they're able to share, and let's give them better ways to cope with their problems, because a problem shared is a half solved. Yeah, and it makes you to be a bit versatile in wanting to know more on how you can help them. Thanks for chemistry practical video. Oh, the one that we're doing the titration. Yeah, there are more videos that are on the way. I will get to share. Then maybe the molar concept. Okay, so yeah, let people go and study. There's no shortcut. Yeah, and there's no end to learning. Every day is a new learning day. Even for those who are feeling like the time is so limited and you're starting to get anxious, my word is that take one day at a time. You're going to pass, you're going to excel. Like, it makes me nostalgic when I remember our high school days, how we could even go to the practicals. We are there outside the quadrangle facing the labs and they're singing mitihani tu tashinda, yeah, you go there with a lot of courage. Yeah, I'll keep coming here. I'll be coming live more often, I promise. Yeah, despite my busy schedule, I'll really try that one, I promise. So let me leave it at this point. It has been long. I have enjoyed talking with you. Yeah, at least for the 38 minutes. It's what time? It's 8:56. My students are about to sleep in 4 minutes time. So yeah, I'll miss you. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Bye bye, people. Love you. Yeah, please don't forget to share, subscribe, like. Because if you haven't hit the subscription button, what are you waiting for? I mean, you're missing out on a lot of juice. Yeah, I take my time to craft some of the videos, in as much as some are becoming spontaneously. Yeah, someone is inviting me for supper at 9. Yeah, what are you having for supper? Tunakula nini? Like here we took rice and cabbage. I'm waiting for the response, but it seems not coming. But anyway, thank you for the invite. Yeah, samaki ugali. I miss ugali and samaki. I never thought like ugali will become my favorite meal. Mm. But I love it. I can fix it anytime, because it's very versatile. You can take it with veggies, with milk. Kwanza maruranu, the sour milk, with chicken. Yeah. Asante kwa ugali samaki. Mm. So, alright. So, people have a good night, good morning, depending where you're watching us from. I really love you and appreciate the company. Until next time, bye. Mwah. Right now, I'm in Muranga. I'm in school, my office. I'm in my office, my desk. Yeah, you can see. Yeah, so I'm seated in my desk. Yeah, so I want to go home, boil milk, and take something warm and come back for work tomorrow. Yeah, bye.